calling to say I I'm just calling to say I
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first week of Hell EU. I'm here to be your host tonight. I'm awake. Hello, everyone. How's it going? Today, we have a nice little matchup here. It can be played on Hurtgen Forest between MERC and HLLE, two very familiar opponents with one another. Finally see HLLE come back kind of from the dead and reform, and they'll be in this first iteration for themselves as well as MERC for this Hell EU season in Division 1. So yeah, gonna be very interesting to see how both these two teams play. Obviously, HLE basically rebuilding. I know they had a friendly on, I think, PHL last weekend against WRTB. I'm not sure the results of that match. I wasn't really paying attention too much. I had other stuff going on, but we're gonna have a nice spectacular match ahead of us here in just a few moments. I think we're just waiting for a few MERC guys and maybe one or two HLE to get into the game, and then we should be good to go with the map flip. So yeah, this is two primarily EU teams facing off, and obviously a EU only tournament, kind of similar to what the PC scene has with the ECL and APL and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm very excited. I'm not so sure what to honestly expect of who's going to win this. Obviously, drop your predictions in the poll in the chat and see who do you think is going to win this match. From the time of me streaming this, obviously this will be on a half-hour delay. HLE is winning the poll right now at 74%, but obviously that could change depending on who people want to vote for. But yeah, I'm excited for this. First time streaming for Hell EU, so shout out to the org team with that. Very excited I don't even know what to say. It's been a busy morning with Easter and all that, so happy Easter to everyone. Thank you for taking your time out and watching this game. It's going to be a fantastic showing, I think, from each team. Might see some mistakes just because it's kind of like, I would say, two reformed teams. MERC a little bit as well. I think they're starting to trying to get that engine running in preparation for Summit. Obviously they're going to be trying to win Hell EU as well. HLE, obviously their first league match since the last iteration of TPL and Summit. So obviously they're still getting their feet wet. A lot of old guard coming back, reforming, and I think we're gonna have a good match. Unfortunately for them, they're gonna be playing on Hurtgen Forest, which isn't everyone's favorite map in the world, but I think it's we saw these two teams play on Hurtgen Forest before, Hurtgen Night, and it was an absolute spectacular match. That was prior to Admin Cam. I think that was the gold final of TPL, so very excited to see these two teams clash yet again on Hurtgen Forest. I'm just going to check on the numbers real quick. Looks like we are waiting for one player from each team, and we should be ready to go here in just, I would assume, a minute or two, and we should get the green light to go and get that map flip up and running. Just gonna put out some last second pings. And if you guys didn't know, the other side, because we're gonna be casting for MERC in this game, on the other side for HLE, Smithers will be casting. So if you just search up Smithers Cast on YouTube, you should be able to find his stream. Watch both streams, support both of us, because he does a very, very excellent job with all of his casting, just because he has an amazing voice. I think everyone kind of knows that in the scene already. Smithers probably has the best casting voice of all the casters, but we all try to do our due diligence with the community. But I think we should be getting to go. I'm just going to see who from MERC is playing in this one. Lots of familiar faces indeed for MERC. A lot of new faces as well, as they did get some pickups in the last few weeks. And I think they're also going to be playing with some TRR fill-ins. I'm not so sure of who from HLE is going to be filling in for them, because fill-ins are allowed from certain, I think, teams. I think that's kind of how it works, but we'll go on the other side and see who on HLE is playing in this one. Don't know who that is. It's like a Renegade, Dutch, Shaky, Roadski, Love for Beer, Matt, Roy. Lots of classic names from HLE. you know, reformed their team. So it's good to see them back on the scene. I think it's better with them on the scene than without. Sucks to see them that they didn't. Sucks to see them when they first disbanded. I think we can probably all agree to that. Really sucks when teams like break up and disband and leave for other teams, but you know, especially kind of hurts when it's like a staple like HLE and stuff like that. And we do have a map flip, and we will be playing hopefully on Hurtgen Forest. If I am wrong, I totally bamboozled everybody in the community. Hopefully that is not the case, and we will play on that map. I have no idea. Checking some things on my end. Hopefully I'm all good to go. Again, happy Easter to everyone. Make sure you spend time with your loved ones today. If you're in EU, you're probably ending out your Easter celebrations watching this game. Again, I do appreciate you guys watching all the time in these matches. But in less than 20 seconds, we will have another MERC versus HLLE showdown. Again, on Hurtgen Forest. I think they played Hurtgen Forest like 2 or 3 times before. I'm not entirely sure, but and we will get the map flip, and we will get Hurtgen Forest. Curious to see what the midpoint is. I am kind of hoping for Scar. I think Scar would be pretty interesting for both these teams, and we will get North Pass with a very unfortunate offset points of Jacob's Bar and Crawl Trail. It's like some people are slapping each other for motivation.
Lean.
And I'm trying to join Weatherman, and I do join him. And we will be getting good to go. Just gonna run and hide in this bush. And we will be set. Still trying to get used to this admin cam since the changes. I feel like I'm on ice skates, so very weird point layout, if I do have to say. North Pass, this is going to favor the Axis a little bit, actually a lot. So MERC, I think, does have the initial cap advantage into their favor, but you know, these offset points of Crawl Trail and Jacobs, it's going to be very tough for either team to push back into North Pass once they lose it. I would say HLE has a little bit better time just because they get, you know, maybe a little bit more cover, but at the same time, it's not that much, you know, decent cover. As for MERC, they're going to have to hold this hill right here. Very important that they do control that hill throughout this entire game. If they do lose this, I don't think they win the match, because if they just come off the north side of this hill, it's just kind of a firing range for HLE to pick them off one by one. So yeah, I don't know what to expect. Obviously, we're going to be joining Weatherman, who's going to be an Artie, very notable Artie player, getting his pain set up and ready to go. But I guess we'll just talk about maybe Crawl Trail and Jacob's Barn. When it's North Pass, it's a very tricky offset point to attack from and hold, just because it is like literally 700 meters from the cap sector. If it's, you know, down here in the south, I forget what that point is, but if it's down there in the south, it's not as bad. I'd say it's only about maybe 200, 150 meters less, which I think is a huge deal. So, but you know, this is obviously the cards that both these teams are dealt with. I'm not sure if MERC is running with an extra tank. They do, and they have Miles back here and someone else with an AT gun practicing some snipes. Go back over here. Looks like we do have one truck. Like Daddy Shark probably gonna prep some snipes as well. Stuart tank, a medium tank with 2 guys already on it. So this should be interesting. I'm actually excited to see this snipe. I assume it's probably going to happen somewhere right... I actually don't know where the snipe might happen, to be completely honest, but, you know, we will find out and see here in just under 10 seconds. We should be good to go. 1-click map. Very standard start, I think, from either team. And we are going to go. Obviously, not a lot of snipes will happen right away, just due to the fact that it is Hurtgen, so lots of trees and things that will catch those rockets. But we do have 1 rocket coming in. I think that was a little bit mistimed there from one of the MERC players. But more are coming in. And we do have a snipe. Oh my god, I think that's the AT gun, and it actually snipes players out of the truck. So well prepped there from MERC. Absolutely destroying everybody. 2 Stewarts are coming down there as well. But you could not ask for a better start if you are MERC. Taking out... Did they just take out that... I think the tank actually just took out the truck, or one of the Stewarts as well. And this other Stewart is getting hit by, I think, the P4. Unfortunately for these players, they might be down 2 tanks right away. I had no idea if preset points were established or not, and they just prepped really, really well for this point. But either way, it's just going to be a pretty convincing MERC capture. Wow. So the prep works for MERC. As you can see, HLLE in the south now. Going to prioritize that, as they probably will lose this mid cap. And we will probably have a little bit of stuttering because it is Hurtgen 4. It's not the most well optimized map in the world, but Raz there, very, very known player for HLLE. And then Legend just getting around Rosie. Raz comes on top of the battle. MG Rex. Left leaning with the with the MG. And you can just see the ground that HLLE does at the capture now. It's a lot of ground that they do have to make up. Not sure. Yes, the AT gun is still up from Miles and somebody else. But huge, huge start here for MERC, and that's what they need if they do want to win this match. And that will be a capture for MERC. Pretty easy capture for them. Mostly due to the fact that they did snipe a truck and actually also sniped one of the light tanks with the P4. Maybe it was the AT gun, I have no idea, but well done indeed from them. Now, how does HLLE respond? Because obviously MERC has really nothing going at Croucher yet. We have Shifty and then a recon tank down here in the south. But obviously they're still trying to get established in the south as well of North Pass. Also, one thing I do want to point out, I think I've said this on a friendly match between, I think, EXO and Legion not too long ago, that, you know, Hill 400 and Hurtgen and kind of any forest map for the most part, you don't see that many kills compared to, I would say, a normal map, that being like, let's say, SME and, you know, Omaha, Utah, maps like that where, you know, you kind of expect people to be all the time, or just places that you know they're going to push. Obviously, this is a different because anybody can be literally anywhere, just with all the tree cover and stuff like that. So you're going to see, I think, a lot less kills, a lot less movement, and people are going to play it a lot slower, and therefore less kills will happen. I would say about 10 to 15% less kills across the board from either team. Now, obviously, it just depends if Artie is, you know, really dialing in, as something does blow up by Hill 15, I think that's called. Haven't too much matches here on Hurtgen Forest for me, so I have not prepared at all. But see Raz here, just holding his spot, maybe trying to get his teammates to come up with him, but he has a lot of players ahead of him. Raz does get one. Raz just playing pretty cautiously, doesn't want to expose himself too much. He's playing it very, very smart. Has his binos out, getting some pings up probably on that Luke's tank. We'll leave Raz and all of his buddies to do what they want to do. Back down here in the south, and MERC doing a very good job slowly pushing HLLE away, even calling Artie here to back them up. But HLLE not going down without a fight. Artie does take out a truck. Not a whole lot of movement here from HLLE. Looks like they are trying to build up some AT guns and other stuff. You know, they're kind of not necessarily in full reset mode, but, you know, losing that truck at the start really hurt them. You know, they probably had a guy or two for boxes that died, so, you know, delayed their garrison placement by a lot. Not sure who's commanding for HLE side of things. See HLE starting to... Oh, man, that... getting smacked by a Luke's round sucks the life out of you a little bit. And actually, Eddie Sharp with an AT gun in the middle of the woods. They're trying to hit that Lux tank, and I think he does have an angle onto that Luke's. He might, but now the Lux is in decent cover. But I'm very surprised HLE has not a lot of presence here up in the north in the E3 sector. But now it looks like two squad leads did spawn on top. We'll slowly try to regain this ground back. Raz still holding on by this log pile. Trying to do what he can. Does get his OP up. She will take out Raz, but Raz probably gonna call some people to his OP. Actually, MERC playing with the tank all the way back at the bunker. Looks like Beck's tank. And all the way back there, they do have a front door garrison, and they do have a support drop. It's like shifting his squad. Shifty's known for getting those shifty OPs, no pun intended. So I think the way that HLE's gonna have to take this point is kind of win the field battle a little bit and then kind of push with a heavy or two. Now, still plenty of time in this game, but I feel like I have to play with the highlights on. Oh, and Alpine just wrecking house up in the front lines. very, very rough map for tanks, especially for the HLE tankers. You know, MERC can kind of use this entire like open field up in here in the G and the H sectors a little bit to kind of maneuver their tanks a little bit more, but you know, HLE is gonna have to kind of go on the main roads, and you know, if MERC can maybe get behind them, place some AT mines, and really devastate those tanks, it could be a tough cookie to crack. Looks like the medium tank does get taken out by something. Not exactly sure what. I don't know. We're just gonna ignore that and move on. But I think HLE also did lose their Stuart tank as well, so not a good start for the HLE side as far as armor. Obviously their opener harped on, I think, one too many times already, but their opener really, I think, set them back quite a lot. See Raz again on the move. Actually, I'm not sure what point got flagged, if it was North Pass or if it was actually the fourth point of HLE, but if it's North Pass, I think MERC probably a little bit too much in the south. They do have a bunch of presence up in the north. Very curious if Raz can get his OP behind them and maybe take out a garrison or two. Obviously, the garrison is all the way in the north of North Pass, but, you know, MERC with 2 front door garrisons now. You know, lots of defense for HLE as well. So they should be fine on the defensive side of things, unless they completely get out fragged for a little bit. HLE starting to put some pressure on, starting to flip the cap a little bit. Starting to win those gunfights. HLE starting to still put on that pressure. I think Raz does have his OP behind them, and he does get an OP behind them. Bastard and I think Kriov. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce your name, sir. I apologize, but they do get that OP behind them. MERC a little bit in the panic mode. Garrisons are still decent for them. Nothing's down, but they are starting to become warm. Gonna force MERC to basically pull back to defense. It looks like that got shut down fairly quickly. Weatherman also trying to maybe already Raz his OP. It's gonna be a very tough OP for Raz, as they do have an MG behind them. Oh, I'm not sure if the MG has a round, but the tank certainly has a sight on them, and They're getting chopped apart as everyone but the SL does die from that HLE OP, and Raz is gonna probably move it as they're getting absolutely pummeled, but Raz does go down, so that OP will probably get destroyed here in a few seconds. But, you know, that does, you know, get HLE to gain some more ground up here on the front door. Starting to get onto the actual tree line itself now, which is huge for them. This is what they wanted at the start of the game, but unfortunately, they just got sniped a little bit. But still plenty of time for either of these two teams to attack the next point and potentially go up 4-1 or 3-2 in the HLE favor. I think Snorkel's gonna try to crawl through the smoke. He does have an MG, I think, shooting at him. Let Snorkel do his own thing. Cap's still starting to kind of flicker a little bit. To look at the map again for MERC, they did lose that front door garrison, but did actually get 2 OPs behind the HLE front line. And this is the spot you want to be if you are MERC, like the MERC sapper crews or even the recon crews. Getting behind them, you can wipe out those garrisons a lot easier, if that's a correct term to say. Benito has fallen through the map. HLE's starting to put some more pressure now. I think the only thing they are missing are the actual tanks, which have kind of been dominated by MERC thus far. I assume that HLE is probably bringing up a 76, maybe even 2 76s. But this is a lot of HLE now. We'd probably calling out the chevrons to command chat, be like, hey, it's like 2-2. We're still okay, but probably need some help on this front door. Key strike is coming out, actually. I think onto the Stuart tank. Oh no. This is either gonna miss or it's gonna unintentionally hit the 76. Oh no. It kills an infantryman, and the Stuart does survive. But it actually also does damage that 76 as well. Demon is coming from behind as well with some rockets or a satchel. HLE is now nearly half-capped, but now MERC will defend yet again. That Luke's tank is finally destroyed, and HLE will continue this cap just over half capped now, I would say. Well, now it's going to be half capped. The other already from Weatherman, and I do have to say there is, you know, the summit rules into effect, which is indestructible nodes, no killing of the arty player, and he cannot get off the gun, and Tiger tanks only for the Axis. No Panthers are allowed. Grammy and Zero died to Artie. Trying to get those reps in onto that tank. Artie just slamming down onto these tanks. Demon does have a rocket. was probably a smart man. I would just go for the Stuart tank. I think he's trying to find his opportunity to do something. Oh, but Rico with 2 huge kills onto Evil Panda and Demon. Demon might not have had rockets. I'm not sure why he didn't shoot. OP from Renegade near the hard cap of North Pass as well. One Renegade and his OP do get taken out. Well, as that fighting is happening in the north, it looks like MERC starting to, you know, attract that attention from HLLE into their backlines. Only 1 OP now. I think that's Shifty's OP. And it looks like, you know, HLLE is starting to get behind them a little bit. Now, still have to make some progress down here in the south of North Pass. But maybe if they can reclaim this hill a little bit, maybe send an extra squad here, maybe get the support of Tom Flanks and his crew. Was that a strafing run? Was that a P-strike? That would have been a... Oh, it was a strafing run. Okay. Let's take a look at the map real quick for MERC side of things. Looks like they do have medium still up and a heavy tank in their HQ. Or in G4. They should probably spawn one in their HQ soon. Battle in these woods continues, already just smacking down on top of these tanks. And actually a Luke's tank is going to come up here and support, which probably won't last too long for this Luke's, if I do have to be honest. But, you know, they do have probably heavy waiting for them. They do have the fuel. Actually, is anybody stuck in this? Okay, there is a crew in that 76. And now it's just this tank cruise up here. Lux does go down. There's too many trees on this map, but to be honest. Tanks are kind of sitting ducks, just trying to support one another. Let them figure it out, but it looks like another 76 is also on its way. Now the big thing for HLE is how much ground can they get in the next few minutes, because they're going to have another Tiger tank for MERC in their HQ gonna come up and roll out, but he's going to be a few minutes from the action. Them continue up here in the north. So we shift more towards the south. And we do have a P-strike coming in somewhere. Yes, we do. And the tank actually does back off in time. And it's shaking like no tomorrow. And there goes engineer's body, just causing the tank to shake anymore, but both misses from both teams' P-strikes will even out the fuel economy as well as their own munitions and resources, so nothing gained from the P-Strikes, but it's always good to see them being used, because I feel like teams, at the very most, only use it once a game, and it's kind of like middle end of the game is when they finally start to use them. So kind of good to see them use a little bit early. I feel like if HLE did get that P-Strike off, they would have easily tried to push both those heavy tanks into the point. But since that did not happen, they are not going to be able to do that, and cap progress has started on 4th a little bit, but, you know, probably going to be defended. Came in with the AT rocket. Oh, Demon, no. If he had a satchel, that would have been an amazing play from the Arty player and the AT player, but, you know, he gets one in the butt at least, so I guess it's okay, but ended up killing himself. Oh, man. Oh, man. You hate to see it. You do hate to see it. I think MERC is gaining. It's kind of still a standstill here anymore. It's very awkward. I feel like HLE is gaining a little bit of ground, but I think MERC is starting to kind of maybe wrap around them a little bit in the south of Cap C, just starting to slowly reset the E5 sector a tad bit. But you know, MERC's still in a decent position, but they, you know, they want to get some sort of Gary down here, probably in like E4. Looks like a bomb run is coming out. I think that's an HLE bombing run. I assume it'll probably be over North Pass Point, and yes, it will be. We'll take out the garrison as well as a few squad leads and squaddies. Just gonna open up the door a little bit for HLE to move in. The MERC does have that red zone garrison back here where they can easily reset now. It's a very, very good red zone garrison to have. Now you are starting to see teams use that one red zone garrison in like a very odd position where teams, it feels like it's too out of the way for them to check, but you know, it's always good to have just for that reason that they probably don't want to waste time checking an area that might not have a garrison. So you never know. You never know. Don't know whose satchel that was, but satchel went boom. Yeah, if you are a MERC, you're probably not going to move up your tanks, like, kind of at all. Hurtgen is one of those maps where it's very rough to move tanks up to the, you know, to attack the 4th point. Even when it's aligned, it's a very, very hard thing to do. It looks like the AT from Dextro still harassing the 76. Like we do have a tank fight. I think that Tiger tank actually just threading the needle. Not actually quite sure where. I think it's actually the heavy tank on top of the hill. Ski and Carl will dip out and rep the tank. HLE back on the cap yet again. Not giving MERC any sort of breathing room whatsoever. And it's just like a shooting range down this hill for MERC just to kill any HLE infantry. And now it looks like MERC is starting to put more bodies behind HLE. I will say though, this is a very awkward map to cast on. You can see behind them now. Lots of classes that can make tanks go boom. Got ATs, satchels. Fortunately, Shifty will not have any of those type of things, but will direct his men. Unfortunately, Dex does not get a pen onto that 76. Demon doesn't get the same thing either, and for some reason Artie's lining up his own men, but that's okay. It's like HLE's gonna slowly clean that up. Looks like we got some AT guns coming out for HLE as well. We need to see a flamethrower sighting. I think that's the next thing on our bingo card for this game. Let's go back up. Just want to like maybe point some down here. HLE is starting to slowly push MERC back. You can kind of see MERC's kind of, you know, quote unquote line right now that they have. They are starting to basically get pushed back to the hard cap itself, but with those two OPs and that garrison behind them, that's kind of the reason why HLE has not been able to crack this defense here at North Pass. Is, you know, they're just being reset and bothered by those two MERC OPs behind them. It's, you know, shown to be a real pain in like their side. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm out of breath. See what Scrammy can do. Probably will die to Weed here, and he'll die to the STG that everyone loves to use. I'm just gonna see it. Does MERC does not have any mines on this road, which I'm kind of surprised about. I feel like they should have some mines on the road. Not that it will, you know, kill tanks, but even if they see them, they have to stop and shoot them. So, you know, it does slow them down for that aspect of things. And if that does happen, to be like, hey, you know, there's a tank coming, let's get some ATs back onto that. You know, it really does slow down a tank, even if they're getting chased by a satchel guy. Even just getting one mine down, you know, is huge for the AT rocket. Use mines. Spearson with the hip-fired MG. Been heck of a back and forth game thus far. Alpine does get taken out as soon as I try to zoom up him and give him some showtime. HLE is starting to put more pressure now. I think MERC is probably spreading themselves a little bit too thin. They have a lot of guys. For some reason, they have an AT gun here at Jacob's Barn. I don't know why, but they do. Maybe they know of a snipe that I don't know of. I think Raz just died in the river. Rip the Raz. Actually, where's this AT gun shooting at back here? It's like Beck is trying to actually snipe something. Obviously, we're gonna maybe see on this recon plane. Actually, we won't, but I wish we did. But it looks like there is an HLE tank that's actually getting harassed behind a bunker. Another 76. And it does go down, so huge props to this AT gun crew and Beck for pinning that out. Huge team play for them. Just over halfway in this game, and MERC still in good control of this match. But you know, HLE has been putting on some really good pressure. It doesn't seem like it, but you know, everything in the E3 sector has basically been kind of like a back and forth chess match between both these teams. So I feel like if HLE just maybe puts like a few more bodies up here to help support these tanks and the rest of this infantry, that they could really make up some ground and potentially even get to the hard cap. But they do have to run down this hill, and it's just been getting shelled by arty tank rounds, and it's been rough for the infantry thus far, I think, for both teams in this match. But you know, still plenty of time to go. Like, I feel like HLE is winning the infantry Gazemans like 3-2 trades, but you know, the arty and those tank hits onto the infantry have been, I think, been the deciding factor thus far. We only seen, I think, one heavy die, and that was on the defensive point for HLE. I think MERC is bringing up a third heavy. Yes, they are. A third Tiger has entered the battle. MERC will defend this point nice and tight. Not really, but not quite sure the HLE arty is landing, to be completely honest with you. do have another bombing run coming in. We do have a HLE bombing run. I think it will not get a garrison up there. There was none built, but I think we'll get 1 or 2 players. They're actually starting to push in that 76. Oh, and Renegade. See Spearson. Spearson can get a satchel onto the 76, and he will get the satchel onto the 76. The other 76 is getting hit by, I think, another Tiger tank. Oh, and Benji dies to Artie. Oh, that tank's gonna have to hop out. Oh, and this 76 will probably go down to the satchel. Don't think anybody called it out. Oh, this is gonna be a huge loss for HLE. Huge play there from Spearson to take out that 76 with the satchel. It's not what you need. HLE made a bit of a play and just didn't pan out for them. Unfortunate deaths to Artie and just infantry there as well. Spearson with a huge kill onto Renegade. Nice play from him. And Weatherman has just been on point with his Artie this game. And Hurtgen's a rough point for Artie players, I feel like. You always have to be constantly moving the gun. You really can't farm a garrison or an OP or certain pathways. You can on other maps. Just because there's a lot more area that the enemy can be compared to others, so you've seen it plenty of times where he's just getting 2 to 3 kills per Artie round. It's like MERC is starting to gain ground in the north, and by the same time they're losing some ground here in the south. Jeremy just hiding. I mean, a little bit ratty, but you know, sometimes you always have to do that in those comp matches. Just hide for a little bit. Get your OP down if it got burned. I think something flew up here. I'm not sure what actually just died. I think a rep station. Tiger and a P4 here. And a garrison. Holy, there's a lot of stuff here. Holy. It's a party on top of this hill. One satchel will take out all that stuff, but has yet to happen. HLE's starting to win this north back again, though. Starting to win those gunfights. MERC, not a garrison, honestly, in the sector other than F4. So they are pushed back a little bit. They have no OPs in the back line. Not sure if, yes, Shifty will get his OP back up behind them. And that Artie, man, from Weatherman just being so key right now for MERC. Not sure who the Artie player is for HLE, but I'm pretty sure they're pretty much doing the same exact thing. This is kind of the first time HLLE has even touched the hard cap since Raz and his squad were over here. Now these two can maybe win some of their gunfights. Personally, Plug is missing his shots. He gets his head taken off. It's punishment for not killing that SL. Kind of see this front line of HLLE just starting to break a little bit. They're putting a lot of pressure in the south, but Cap C and his squad of bandits, I'm not sure if this is an airhead. It is an airhead here from MERC trying to capture Crawl Trail. Big spawn wave does happen on the garrison. Kiwi throwing some grenades onto that airhead and will take it out. Good on you, sir. That could have been pretty disastrous if he did not do that. Airhead will go down, so no major problems going to happen here on the defense for HLLE for the time being. But, you know, there is a decent force, but another spawn wave on the southern garrison will probably clean that up. As MERC now will reset their defensive garrison network a little bit. They do get one on point, but you know, they still have not secured that front door, even though there's no one here for HLLE. You know, those moments happen. It's kind of like a lull into the game. There's not a lot of gunfights happening. Got this little skirmish down here with Raz and his squad, and I think Benito and others. Red Devil's caught looking at his map a little bit. Gets his OP wiped out, but 2 do spawn onto that OP. Raz does not know. Spearson saw him hop over the wall. Oh, Spearson misses his shots. And Raz gets the huge kill. Raz, I think, dies from behind from Lucifer or Red Devil. Now you can see MERC's starting to push up this front line a little bit with Mr. House and his squad. Starting to look kind of odd. MERC has been pretty much wiped out of the back lines, which is huge for HLLE, but now they really do have to reset their garrison network, I would say, in the D3, D4 sectors. I think Loot Up and others are trying to work on that. Still plenty of time for HLLE to mount something up. I think what they have to do is they have to somehow knock out these MERC tanks because, you know, MERC has the fuel advantage. They do have, I think, 3 heavies at this point up. Well, they have 2. Yeah, they have 2 heavies, and then they're probably going to have 1 in the bank with 900 fuel. I think they're gonna have to take this hill at some point, though, if they do want to win this match, because they're just getting absolutely pounded from each hill. Wow, I wish that was a knife kill. Just to give you kind of like a little bit of a foresight of what HLE's having to deal with, it's, you know, these guys can just sit in this tank and their MGs and their tanks can just completely pound anybody that they see running down that hill. And multiple guns looking the same way. It looks like an AT gun is actually built from HLE there. Fortunately, the rep station is actually preventing them. P4 is actually getting hit in the side by another AT gun. I think that was Chief, who just went down. Just don't think they have the right angle to hit this Tiger. Tiger or the AT gun sees him, he just can't get the right shot. I don't think either of them can get the right shot. Random rocket comes in from My Love for Beer. Heck of a rocket there from Cryptic. I think he's trying to get the garrison. Not quite sure where the garrison is at. It's actually behind this factory building. And actually no HLE over here on the southern side, on the MERC side of the river. I wonder if they're kind of foregoing that and just kind of grind down this main hill. I think if you're HLE, you're just gonna have to throw a lot of smokes and hopefully the tanks run out of ammo. Those are with a nice little peek there. Not sure if HLE has any tanks. Looks like they do have one up and coming. I assume that's a 76. Not sure where the other tanks are at though. They kind of do need some more armor to get up into this fight to challenge these other Tigers and this medium. AT guns have been trying, but on a map like Hurtgen, especially as allies on North Pass, it's, you know, a little bit tricky to find those AT gun spots so you don't hit any trees or anything like that. airhead is coming, actually. Way behind them. Trying to get their sappers and maybe some recon behind them at this point. But MERC has pretty much wiped out this entire front of HLLE. Still a half hour to go. You only need 2 minutes to capture a point, and HLLE has over, 25, 26 minutes to do so. Oh, but that garrison spawn is pretty much called out and seen from the tank crews. Bomber run is coming in for HLLE. I do assume. No, it's a MERC bombing run actually. And a lot of HLLE do spawn, or a lot of MERC do spawn onto this airhead. None of them being SLs. I think they kind of just did that, like, hey, everyone with boom boxes and stuff, just go off the airhead. You can also see crawl trail starting to become a little bit of a threat here for HLLE. Well from behind. We'll probably set up his OP and O squad as well. They could do something. They do have, a far garrison in the south that will probably never be touched. Looks like these tanks from behind. Oh, Delaney misses all of his shots. The Kiwi. Looks like they're trying to stack up these tanks and they're just getting harassed by infantry. Bomb run is coming in from HLLE side of things. Trying to wipe out that front door a tad bit. Actually, I think one of these 76s did end up going down. Yes, one did. I assume probably to a satchel, maybe AT. But Stockton and Hillies. We'll run into a bunch of HLLE folks. Oh my gosh. Gillies and Mr. House killing 3 off the 76, and the 76 did take a round from the Tiger, and the Tiger goes down. Or 76 goes down, my bad. Not quite sure the angle that he had onto him, I guess. Oh, right there. Okay, so just a little bit of misplay there from the 76 crew, but very, very unfortunate they just lost 2 76s. The defensive point did get flagged a little bit, as you can see. Well in his squad got some people to spawn on his OP, flagged the point, gonna call us a kind of a soft reset here from HLE, but a lot more players do spawn back here. Joey gets one tapped. And down goes that entire squad and that OP. Just Eva Panda and well. Last two alive now. Down to the SL, and I don't think they're gonna last too much longer, so good defense there from HLE, but MERC really making HLE fight every single aspect of this game thus far. And at some point, HLE is just going to have to make a play with their infantry, whether that's, you know, put everyone but a few people onto attack just to see what they will do. Because, you know, we have seen it before where HLE infantry is out-fragging MERC and they start cap progress, but you know, as soon as HLE does start running down this hill, they just kind of get pelted by MGs and RD and tanks. And I think that's been like the key so far of this game is, you know, just trying to get to the tanks up to the fight for HLE has been a really rough go for them. And as soon as they do, they just, you know, kind of get wiped out, if I do have to be honest. Now that's just kind of Hurtgen Forest and like those maps that, you know, really don't favor armor whatsoever. Go back onto Crawl Trail where a lot of random stuff is happening. And Dex with a nice little rocket there onto that medium tank. So we do have an airhead coming in, maybe? No, just a supply drop. I thought that was an airhead plane, but MERC now up here at North Pass, kind of, you know, pretty much seizing control of this whole north. The snorkel up here. I assume there's probably a garrison back here for HLE. I think I see it on my screen right now. Maybe, I have no idea. Somewhere in here. Maybe, probably not. I don't know. I thought I saw it. Guess I did not. Guess it was destroyed in the process. But now this is what HLE has to do if they want to win this game. They have to take this hill. MERC has had this entire game, and, you know, Chaos, I would say this is the most progress since the start of the game that they've had onto this hill. Pepsi makes Chaos pay without taking his own life. That sounded definitely wrong out of my mouth, but words are hard. I'm also surprised that HLE doesn't try something where they basically go all the way around from Jacob's Barn and try to set something up like back here in like the middle of G3. Because I feel like they could really, or not G3, like F3, F4, but you know, it's very hard to get back there if you are the Allies. Especially how good, you know, MERC has been playing on this defense. Kind of now just pushing HLE back to their hard cap, and it's not looking too good for HLE, but like we say in the game of HLLE, anything can happen in such a short amount of time. Maybe there's some sort of weird half-track play that HLE will try to pull off on Hurtgen of all maps. I don't think that will happen, but, you know, anything's possible. We do see some sort of air pressure being applied here from HLE, basically all in the E4 sector. That's the majority of where HLE is pushing from. They actually are starting to take this hill a little bit. Tanks are getting hit by, I assume, AT guns. I think this is an abandoned medium, just Dr. Balls in there. Now with some pressure here from HLE, this could get spicy with just under 20 to go, and a tire tank gets taken down. Huge kill. Pretty sure that tank was nearly out of ammo though. Not exactly sure what took that down. I assume it's probably an AT gun or maybe one of these tanks over there. Now 2 other Tigers gonna back up that other one that just died. So they have other tanks actually up on top of this hill, and that's interesting if you are MERC. I'm very surprised by that. Oh, dude, is there a P-strike coming down on top of these tanks? No. P-strike actually goes down over here, and I think takes out a Stewart? I mean, they took out a tank, but I don't think it's the right tank that they wanted. Going back up on top of this hill, I think the medium just went down to the Tiger tank. Lots of HLE here now. Surround these Tigers, and this is a prime time to take out multiple heavy tanks in a row. One, I think, gets side-penned. Lamborghini from behind will secure down a satchel onto Silvernute's tank, which is just a 2-man crew. Other Tiger is getting absolutely harassed, and down goes that first Tiger. The second Tiger is soon to follow suit, and now HLE is going to have no heavy tanks whatsoever. They do have one coming out of the bottom H, or top HQ rather, but again, they cannot spawn in that Panther tank. So this is what HLE needed, is to secure these tank kills. And again, I'm not so sure why. They basically had 3 heavy tanks because one went down not even, you know, 2 minutes ago. And now they're down to no heavy tanks in the area. I mean, they do have one coming out of the HQ, but that's, it's not really looking good for MERC as far as the armor game now, because it's basically now evened out as far as the fuel economy goes. I'm not sure if HLE has a heavy tank on its way or not. But, you know, that is a huge play from them with just over 15 minutes to go into this week 1 matchup of Hell EU. You know, I kind of do expect HLE to get wiped out there in the kind of the north area where kind of that little battle is happening, but you know, it's gonna prioritize a lot of attention for people to spawn back there to make sure they have that hill. But now is the prime time for HLE to kind of come down this main front door. Heck of a job there from the 76 and the ATs. I think MERC is really going to only have maybe one more heavy tank to spawn in that's meaningful. Is a HLE bombing run, and this could be very juicy if it's all right here in front of your screen. This could be very, very juicy. Airhead is also coming down. I think Airhead was called in a little bit too early, or bombing run was called in a little bit too early. Pepsi actually dies on top of the Airhead. Josh is on top of the Airhead, but does not know where it is. He is probably currently locking it out, but has no idea where it's at. He's actually doing a decent thing right now and not doing anything. He's just going to lock it out until kind of the smoke already disappears. Actually, a very smart play by Josh. If he was even smarter, but a rocket comes in, I think actually takes out the Airhead. No, Airhead is still up. I think Josh sees it now. Dies, but the rocket will take out the Airhead. But kind of the damage has already been done. Lots and lots of infantry were focused on top of that Airhead, and now HLE finally starting to get into the town, getting their OPs in the town, which is so huge for them. Lots of them haven't even seen this part of the map yet thus far. Down goes the Luke's tank to, I assume, some foreign object. HLE starting to start the cap again. It's the first time they're actually putting on some decent cap pressure since, I would say, the first half hour of the game. Ever since then, MERC has had some solid defense, but as soon as those 3 heavy tanks did go down, it's been not looking too good for MERC here. Huge arty splash here from Weatherman, taking out 3 or 4 of them. D-Strike is coming down. And a miss on the P-Strike onto that Tiger. Probably a little bit of a raw mark there from one of the SLs, I assume. So that will be the last P-Strike for HLE. It could have been a huge play if they did get that down. The HLE is actually sending in a 76 that is damaged. They actually do have another medium tank kind of backing them up. The 76 is actually going to drive up pretty well protected here. I think he's just in the hard cap. No, he is not in the hard cap. He's in a very key spot. HLE is starting a really decent cap now. Huge spawn wave for MERC. Lots of things things are going on. My game can't handle it. Unfortunately, that's not going to get a lot of the HLE players. Textures aren't rendering in because this is Hurtgen Forest. Why do we have 3 people hiding under the bridge? Another big spawn wave for MERC, who all get taken out by a single Artie shell, so Artie is dialing in. I think we do have a tank fight up and coming. AT gun on top of the hill as well. Oh my gosh, ladies and gentlemen, HLE is about 2/3 cap now, with less than 9 to go. Been on the back foot this entire game. And Snorkel, I think, actually did take out the garrison. Just an OP or 2 left for MERC. We took a look at the map real quick. Tiger tank is in the hard cap. Unfortunately, the 76 can't get the right angle to get this kill. Roy gets absolutely destroyed, I think, by an AT gun round. .76 actually does get hit first. And he does miss another round. And the Tiger all the way in the distance with the kill onto that 76, but the cap is still on for HLLE. Actually does have a medium tank kind of anchoring their point right now. I have no idea if this will flip or not. There's like 6 guys hiding under the bridge. Shifty dies in the water. The medium tank is shooting smoke at the Tiger. MERC is starting to defend a little bit. Holy hell, ladies and gentlemen. MERC obviously does have the hard cap advantage for them. If MERC is actually smart, they launch an airhead behind them in D3 and reset everything right now. That's one thing I would personally do if I was MERC in the situation. MERC is starting to defend nicely. This game is not over because a bunch of HLE are up and coming. It's kind of just a mad dash for the hard cap for either team. Rockets going everywhere. Everyone just throwing everything that they can at each other with 5 to go, 6 to go in this week 1 showdown between MERC and HLLE. What is going on? Tiger tank gonna finally push up and make a move onto this medium. Well, she gets ran over by the Tiger. Down goes that medium tank for HLLE. I'm very surprised that what is this Tiger doing? I'm very surprised that HLLE didn't try to build like an AT gun back here to try to challenge those tanks. I think HLE might get one bombing run to use before the clock does hit, I think, 2 minutes, so like damn near everybody in the lobby is on your screen right now, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think MERC is putting any attention to the crawl trail, which I'm a little bit surprised about, to be completely honest with you. But, you know, they have defended nicely here, but game is not over still. 4 minutes and 24 seconds to go. HLE is going to have to start a cap within the next 2 to have a chance of actually pulling out a miracle win here after being on the back foot all game. Holy fuck. Here comes a P4 now. To even anchor this defense a little bit more, and I think this P4 is in the hard cap. Won't look at my map until it's mathematically over. If it does become mathematically over, unless we start a cap at 2 minutes and 1 second, and here comes the bombing run from HLLE. Airhead is also coming down too for HLE, this time in a nice, safer spot. It's gonna wipe out pretty... It's probably not gonna do as well as they thought it would do. Tiger making some sort of dive play maybe for that airhead. This is a huge play that this Tiger is doing. It's locking down a lot of this sector. I don't know if the airhead spawn has happened yet. I think it will happen in the next few seconds. Again, there's going to be no P-strike for HLE to use. "45 seconds remain for cap practice to start." Holy hell, ladies and gentlemen, it's just a carnage. I'm pretty sure half the kills in the lobby are going to happen or happened in the last 10 minutes of the game. Huge already splash there, I think, off the airhead spawn. 24 seconds left for cap practice to start for HLE, and it looks like MERC will probably hold on to this one. And that will be your game, ladies and gentlemen. MERC will come out of this week 1 with a W. But heck of a play, and I think Chief just got a nice rocket snipe to kind of end his game off a little bit. But oh, what an entertaining last 15 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. That is how you want to start off your Easter weekend, I guess, or end off your Easter weekend, because it is Sunday the 20th. So happy 420. But holy hell. Wow, what a nice showcase between these two EU teams. You know, that I feel like that snipe really set HLE back a lot in this match. But give it up to MERC for getting that snipe off and, you know, holding that defense, because, you know, other teams might fall in that situation, not MERC whatsoever. They proved they can hang with the best, because HLE, I feel like, is still considered one of the best teams in the world. Just MERC got the better flip of the coin in this one. But holy fuck. And shout out to this tank crew. I'm not sure who this tank crew is. Looks like Beck and his tank crew. That kill on that 76 in the last point, and he was kind of in the hard sector of North Pass. That kind of secured them the win, if I do have to be honest. Now, HLE, I feel like we're 23 seconds away from capping the point, and who knows if MERC would have got a recap, and someone just rocket sniped the weed out of nowhere. Rocket's still coming and flying out. But holy hell, ladies and gentlemen. What a match. And as the clock hits 0, it's going to be a victory for MERC. Congrats to both of these two teams, though. It's going to be a fun HLLE EU season. Going to give my commendation to the commander for MERC. Not sure who was commanding for. I think it was it was Matt. So shout out to both the commanders in this one. Well played match from both these teams, and that's gonna do it for me this weekend. Happy Easter. I'm gonna go celebrate Easter with my family. So travel safe if you are in the US still, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.